And joining us tonight is the Reverend Dr. Leslie Braxton, Senior Pastor of New Beginnings Christian Fellowship in Kent. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. I know that you met Reverend Jackson multiple occasions. Was there a specific moment or conversation or anything that happened in those interactions that you could share with us that was consequential for you?
Well, we brought him in to speak one year when I was president of the Black Student Union at the University of Puget Sound. And he was just encouraging us, don't let your meager origins determine your destiny. Because I shared a little bit about my own personal narrative, and he shared a little bit about his and said that, you know, God has a way of taking the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. That's a biblical quote.
What do you think made his ministry and his life's work so consequential?
He was the perfect bridge between Martin King and Barack Obama. He ran for president 16 and 20 years after Martin King's assassination, and his last election was 20 years before Barack Obama's election. And while he did not win the Democratic nomination, came in third and second respectively in his two runs, he pulled tens of millions of new black voters and other voters into the electorate, changed the political landscape. And because of him, there were thousands of black people elected to mayoral office, governor's offices, state representatives, U.S. representative, Congress. And so because of that now, when Barack Obama ran, the foundation for a interracial coalition that already had a power base at the local level was in place. Without Jesse Jackson, there is no Barack Obama.
I want to talk more about that because, as you point out, he ran twice for election, but he also changed the way that we count delegates.
Absolutely.
He forced the Democrats to sort of change that. Instead of winner take all,
that's right,
they would be divided.
Yes.
And he changed our imagination about a black person being able to rise to the highest office, don't you think?
Some have said that the combination of the Jesse Jackson candidacies and how well he did, combined with the Cosby Show, which changed for white Americans how they imagined black people. Between the two of those, America psychologically was ready to consider a black person in what had previously been a very white house.
And then add to that that he was a coalition builder.
Yes.
I remember growing up, when we were in high school,
yes,
the Rainbow Coalition,
yes,
and the huge events he would have across the country, including here in Washington.
Yes.
Also instrumental in building a coalition of voters. Do you agree?
Based upon an economic message. One of the tensions between he and Abernathy, the heir to SCLC under Martin King, is he wanted to move it away from a primarily race-based argument to an economic argument, which is where King was going vis-a-vis the Poor People's Campaign scheduled for June of '68, where the coalition needed to be between blacks and working class blacks, whites, Native Americans, Latino Americans, based upon haves and have-nots rather than just black and white. Racism was still there, but in the capitalist structure, the issue was haves and have-nots and an economic agenda and building coalitions that strengthen working class people in this country.
It rings true to the affordability argument that we're hearing right now, only he was talking about it then in a different way.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Right now you're seeing a grotesque upward redistribution of wealth, and the only thing that's going to stop it is when people of all races coalesce around an economic agenda to bring economic justice.
And we should not forget that he dealt directly with corporate America.
Yes,
he went to companies to say you must change the way that you hire and include people of color in your structure.
He turned movement into machine. He went to Anheuser-Busch, Pepsi-Cola, and extracted concessions because black people were a disproportionate market share of their consumer base, but they weren't hiring them.
And not at the table.
And not at the table. So he forced them to start hiring black people, put them on their boards of directors, and include black businesses in their supply chain. So he used consumer power in an economic system to translate into deliverables.
How do you interpret today his message, which is almost a mantra spiritually, of keeping hope alive?
You keep hope. People feel helpless. They feel hopeless when they feel helpless. They feel helpless when they don't understand how to have agency. Jesse Jackson showed us how to translate desire into a political strategy to get people, not only to get people in office, but to get corporations who are economically incentivized to pay attention to you. His message is so critical today because the people in power today got in power and stay in power by dividing us. Whenever we start talking race and other kinds of identity politics, we are now being divided, and divided we're conquered. But what do we coalesce around? We all have the same economic interests. At a time of obscene wealth being channeled into the hands of a few and being codified in law by those who have institutional authority and legal control. So we have got to get back to his message. His message still rings true. We've got to come together in an economic agenda, which is the level table for all of us.
Reverend Braxton, thank you for being here to honor Reverend Jackson. Really, really appreciate your time today and
Thanks
your
for having
insight.
me.
We really, really do. Jackson once said, at the end of the day, we must go forward with hope and not backward by fear and division, as you just said. Reverend Jesse Jackson was 84 years old.